Look at this face, man. Look at my face. Fucked up, right? Oh my god, that one face just probably tells you a lot of story. You know, I hate to sound like this, but you know, I've talked about this before, some other places, but I really want to say this now, which is something that I kind of even don't realize it myself. When somehow I get my hands on some money. But you know, you know, the truth is that when you're on the jam, when you're in that bracket, you're on a budget basically, you know, little things can really put a toll on you, man, you know. God forbid is simply said, you know, and I'm really want to give you an example of myself, because this is a realistic example, and this is how, and the reason I say is that because the reason people are on the budget, usually there's an underlying factor. There's something. Not too many people out there that are just pure out, you know, they're just lazy, who, I don't know, they don't want to work. There are not that many people out there. And the ones who maybe have been through that phase, even maybe for a short time period, they have that thing, but then they realize that usually is that factor that something is holding you back, you know. Anyway, simple said, I want to give you an example. You know, I have a terrifying, I've suffered from a psychiatric condition. I don't think it's even simplistically can be called just schizophrenia even. I think it's by far worse than that, because, oh boy, don't get me started on that. Okay. But what I do want to say is that, this is what I want to say, is that I want to give you a sense of how this works. So, up to last month, you know, after, like, seriously, there's only one way I can call it a battle. At least for me, it was a battle. Maybe to other people, you know, it was rather normative. But, yeah, saying that, a lot of other members come to my head. Oh boy. Anyways. But, yeah, so I really fought with these people. And I mean seriously, because they were not giving it to me. Keep bringing excuses. Or rather, matter of fact, I can say, what happened is that, you know, I lost my Social Security benefit. I was getting, you know, they pay me. I work in this country. I guess I still have to be grateful. 5 years I worked. And pretty much right at that same exact time frame, this terrible thing happened to me. All of a sudden, I've just totally went out. I lost everything because of that. I couldn't take it. My mind started having all these massive racing thoughts, all these pain, everything. It's like all these pressures that throughout all that few years that I came to America, and I went through that to try to get myself to some, you know, level, to some position, trying to get a job, get education, simultaneously going to work, all this pressure. You know, this is what happens. You know, you go through so much responsibility, all of a sudden all these things happens. And, how do you say that? So yeah, I was going through a lot of these things. And when this thing hit me, it all of a sudden came down upon me. I got schizophrenia. The aftermath was that, you know, I remember, just to give you an example, as much as I don't want to remember, but anyways, So like for example, I got a form from the motor vehicle department saying that, you know, they asked me for some proof that shows that, you know, I'm not driving my car. And I couldn't take care of a simple thing like that. I just didn't care, and I didn't see how not caring for something. I never saw a day that this would even pose me a trouble, because I still, you know, things got really, you know, it doesn't even, back then, it was just in the phase of really making you like, I don't know what's the word I can use, you're checked out, like you can't do anything. But it's not that you don't feel like you can't go to places. You know, it's not because of that, because you're in that initial phase of the disease, the illness. It's specifically what I'm telling you about. The way this thing worked on me, at least. And I didn't see that, you know, maybe that moment I was like, you know what, well, I can't deal with it right now. I have all these abstract thoughts in my head, you know, financial issues, all these things happening to me. You know what, I'm just gonna forget about that. Later on, you know, when my mind somehow, I don't know how that opportunity is going to be created, given we live in America where nobody cares for nobody, and certainly even from my background, being an Iranian background, my family didn't care for me, nobody. To this day, you know, they don't care, you know, it's terrifying. Whatever. So yeah, that was the situation where, so what I'm trying to tell you, yeah, so I didn't do that. When I didn't fill that out, automatically it reflected on my driver's license. They took my driver's license away from me, telling me that I'm driving. That's basically in some way, an auxiliary punishment for, I guess, driving car without a car insurance. Something, I don't know, it's a fucked up country, right? It doesn't make sense, right? It's two separate things. Now, I mean, there's a difference if you're driving your car and you get pulled over and the guy's like, dude, do you have fucking insurance on you? I'm like, no, I don't have it. Then he can go like, well, you know what? You fucked up, guy, dude. Well, I'm gonna have to take your driver's license away from you, okay? You know, I don't know how to explain this shit. It's two separate. I can see how people can link these things together and further say that is a precautionary and things like that. But no, I mean, you're not really fixing people's lives. In a way, you're destroying people's lives in some other ways. The system you've come up with is kind of destroying people ahead, so trying to avoid something else. That is how you're dealing. This is a method that they have developed in this country to try to, what in their mindset, you know, what they cite as, you know, prevention, like avoiding some other problems. And this is not how you go about things. Anywho, so, but yeah, so this happened. So I lost that, and little by little, and I was never able to recover again. This flashback to years 2009, it was year 2017 when it just became rather impossible for me to try to walk around. I had to drive, and I was like, you know what, I have to go and try to, regardless of whatever pain that is, I have to go. And by pain, you don't understand what I'm saying to you. Just the same way when I first came to America, it was rather a simplistic thing. Okay, we'll just show up at the door at DMV, fill out a form, alright, take exam, take a day or two off from work, or take a few hours here or there off of work, you know, which I guess to a lot of people right there itself is a bit of a hassle. But, you know, at the end of the day, again, still not awfully bad, I guess. But anyways, so, but for me, you don't understand, you know, like in DMVs, there's a guard who has a gun on him. You don't know how this fucking gun All these years, the simple thing, there's only one thought in my head. Me walking in that door, that man is gonna pull his gun out and is gonna fucking kill me. There's only one way. Why? Because I have schizophrenia. Because at some point, there's a chance I might be acting weird, and he's gonna think, you know what, this guy seems dangerous. So you don't understand that. You don't seem to understand. You know, we live in a country that we would just give people's guns without any training, without any training. I'm not talking about training how to use a gun. That's not the training I'm calling about. A sense, education, understanding, what in my language we call shu'ur. Shu'ur is somehow, it translates to wisdom. It's not knowledge. It's maybe in a way you can call it intelligence, pragmatism. You know, these are the words maybe I can come close to it. It's not, it still doesn't show. It means like your ability to try to understand things, your ability to try to distinguish right and wrong, you know, to have a sense of, you know, outside a box, not just, you know, you see what I'm saying? That's what I'm referring to. I don't know. And a lot of people, unfortunately, in this country don't have it and think that, you know, man, you know what, sure, we need to have guns, you know. And for me, somebody who lives in this country, when I see that and I see people, this country, people are so stupid, and these stupid people get to have a gun, living in this society becomes a nightmare. Because it only takes one idiot thinking that 1 second he's gonna think, you know what, I think this guy's dangerous. So I just thought in my rightest mind, I thought it's the safest thing for me to just pull the trigger. Just like you see the policeman. The guy, you know, accidentally they tell him to put your hand on your head, and, you know, I don't know, he start pulling his hand down to, you know, it's intuitive. I don't know what's the word for it. It's just natural, you know. You're not thinking, you know. You're just pulling it down, and you just pull his gun and kills you. And when they tell him, sorry, I thought he's gonna try to do something crazy, and absolutely there is no legal consequences for that man. He has the badge, he has the gun, he's entitled to do it. I had that determination at the moment that I'm doing the right thing. I had the authority to do it. I did what I had to do. Did I do the right thing? Did I do the wrong thing? There's the cases, you know, they even determined that it was not the story was not simple as that. What did they do? The worst comes worst, the guy gets fired. Worst case scenario. This is a punishment for a policeman in this country, in America, the land of freedom and opportunity. Bullshit, man. Fuck that shit. So anyways, and these are the people who are supposed to be trained, and everybody kind of wants to think that they actually know shit. Well, what do you expect in ordinary people? Oh, I know how to use the gun. Okay, well, that actually, it doesn't really make it better. That actually makes it worse. It means there's a chance that you might not be in your right mind, but you know how to use a gun. You know, these things are a bit of contradictory thing. Anyways, I always get off the track because I want to give a background, really, to get you to see how things get started, really, where people land. So just give me a simple example, you know, so year 2017, I finally went, and that day was a terrible day for me. I went, but I did get my driver's license. I did that. And I put that thing behind me. It was very scary. And 2017, so from 2009 to 2000, that's like almost 7 years. Pretty rough life I had. Still I have the same thing. It's just, I finally realized that I have to move to south to Florida. The only thing here is that it's just not cold. That cold destroys you, man. That drives you to insanity. Like, I can totally see somebody. I don't want to talk about it. Anyways, but simple thing, you know, now they cut that money off from me, so I was getting $1,039, out of which $180 goes towards Medicare. Something that basically, I remember flat I was getting $853 check that it would deposit to my account. Now with this $853, I could use it for some, for a few days beginning from the day that this money came to my account. I could, want to still have a good situation, and I'm not gonna deny it. But now this month I didn't even get that, and the reason I got that because they told me that you have to do a medical exam, which was contrary to what they originally told me. Originally they just told me all you have to do is just show up at the office, and I went there, and then when I went to the office and then said, well, give me my money, you promised me $8,000, and so now you have to do medical exam. So many times I called back and forth. Finally one day I called to the office. The woman who was doing the thing, she said, okay, I'm going to release $3,000 of it, and then remainder you're going to get. I don't know how this thing worked. Basically I got about $7,000 back from them, but initially they only gave me $3,000, and then forward that every month. That is basically the money that I'm entitled to anyway as a Social Security. That's what I've been receiving, minus this month, prior to that. Now prior to that, for a nice 1 year, I didn't get anything at all. So this is how this accumulation was coming, and it was minus few other months that they didn't add to it. They still have to owe that. They owe that money to me. But fast forward to right now. I'm sorry, what I said in the beginning. Here's a point that I'm gonna make right now. Maybe all this time, 16, 17 minutes from where I come from, might give you an idea how much pain I have that made me go through all these things, telling you all. It's a terrible system in America, a terrible system. From my perspective, I'm not gonna even say when I was healthy. If you would come and tell me, America is a bad country, I would go like, what the fuck? What do you not like about this country? You have Social Security, you have, I don't know, food stamp, you have housing. You're just son of a bitch. You're talking shit about America. I don't know what America does outside. You can tell me that, and I totally understand it. But within America, if you're legal, you're okay. If you're a permanent resident, you're a citizen of America, you're gonna be okay. You get all these. Well, no, that's just that. It works when you're looking at it from the standpoint somebody who's healthy, not when you actually need it. The way you get treated in this society, you feel so marginalized and you feel so shitty about yourself. You feel so condescended and offended. You look at yourself, the self-esteem that you have with yourself, the image is so bad that you don't even feel comfortable going because you don't even go the person that as you who actually needs this money, and this money was ideally was supposed to be for the very you don't feel comfortable going getting that money because your self-esteem is so low. The image of yourself, your self-perception is so low. You feel like the people over there, they're gonna treat you like shit too, which often, matter of fact, it does happen on top of that. But anyways, that's another story I have to talk about. But this is just so you know, this is another piece of puzzle too. That's why a lot of people poor, they don't even go getting those things. They feel so embarrassed. They feel like they're gonna be misbehaved. They think they're gonna get arrested. For what? Because we don't care about you, dude. It was not meant to be just sweet like that. We're not really trying to help you. We're just really trying to punish you so it would be a lesson for other people to, I don't know, if you have to kill yourself. No, this is how you tell people. You're literally telling people, that being poor, you really making it in people's minds that if you're poor, you're gonna get punished. Anyway, so it's come so bad that, I don't have money for gas. When I don't have gas, oftentimes I'm driving low on gas, and every second, all this time, I'm stressed that fucking shit, man. My car's gonna run out in the middle of the road. You know how stressful that is? Your attention is somewhere as you're driving. You have an accident. You hit somebody. You hit some car. You get in more trouble. So simple thing like that, like a $5 a day money for gas, even that you don't have it, turns into a disaster in a very simplistic way. You end up hurting yourself, you end up somebody else, you don't have a place to stay, you're sleepy, you're driving, you're walking around, you don't have to be driving. You're walking around, you're sleepy, you fall asleep, you hit a car. The guy says, sorry now, and he's right, he's not his fault. I know, I was sleepy, I fell asleep. I was trying to walk a street and I fell asleep, and I can't blame him necessarily, you know. But it's not my fault because the system is treating me like that. I mean, why in a country housing has to be a privilege? Housing is a right, is not an option. You have to be entitled to a piece of land. I don't care. You're a citizen, you're a permanent resident. If you live in this country, you're legal, or even you're illegal. Then again, it doesn't matter. We're not gonna. The system is supposed to penalize these people. If you exist in this country, housing should not be a privilege, should not be an optional thing. You have to have a place to stay. I don't care what would be the implications of that, what would be the things that will stem out of that thing, what would be the results of that mentality. I don't care. You know, you're trying to fix something in the idea of destroying other people. Come on, man, this is not how you go about it. I mean, you know, I was pretty amazed, you know. Obviously, I can't, well, in a way I can't think of it. Let me give you an example, man. Sure, there are a lot of venues in this country you can do a lot of crazy things and can totally get away with it. Totally. As a matter of fact, people look up to you. I had an accident. Now, I'm not complaining because it could be a lot worse. That's not what I'm saying. But I want to give you an example. I'm going to give you an idea of what happened. One day I was driving and I'm not going to deny it. I was a bit sleepy that morning, and I was not, well, my tension was I was under stress, actually, really. It was more that factor. I was not sleepy. But the thing is that, so I ended up, you know, this woman, she was, I don't know how it happened. I didn't see her. I'm not trying to justify it. Anyways, I hit her. Okay. But she was totally healthy. She was fine. All I know is that a few days passes, the insurance company tells me that they had to give her $65,000. She was driving a Dodge Neon or something like that, which, I mean, you know, she was a used car. I mean, the whole thing, I don't think was more than $6,000, that is. You know what I'm saying? How it came to $6,000? Oh, they said she had body injury. $65,000. How do you justify that number? Now, I'm not complaining. Somebody hit me. I got emotionally distressed. That evening was a rough evening for me after I got hit. I had to wait, you know, all the shit I went through. And I can totally understand me telling my insurance company, saying that, you know what, I had to see a doctor. He told me you have to stay at home. I missed work. All that together. And also I need to go a few sessions for loss of my income, for the pain inflicted on me. All that shit together, a few sessions I have to go to the chiropractor. But what does that all come ideally? And if you want to give it a real number that stands up to the American expensive lifestyle, I can see you can come and say, you know, $5,000. You can tell me, even though nothing really happened to you, but because of the hardship you went through, you had to take some time off. You went through trouble. It affected your life in some other ways. I can totally see that. You can say, you know what? Damage to my car was $1,700 just to get it fixed, but damage to me was $5,000, and I could totally understand that. If somebody would say that number, I would be like, you know what? I am sorry for your pain. I can totally see that. I would have been through the same kind of a situation, and I totally think you're entitled to that money. But $65,000? So yeah, I don't know. Somehow she claimed that she has $65,000, and they paid her, and she totally got away with it. Or the story of this woman, I'll give you an example. There's this girl who is, apparently she's Russian or something, I don't know. That's another story. Uh, but the thing is that she, basically, apparently she was trying to raise capital, venture capital, to buy a place in New York. It was like worth $22 million. And she goes to a bank, then the bank says that, okay, she puts like a business plan, she hires a team even. Yeah, I don't know where she gets the money, all that shit. But maybe this gives you an idea. Ultimately, at some point, the bank says, okay, you know what, your proposal seems right, everything is good, but we need like $100,000, like a deposit, so we can do some further due diligence on you and research on you. And she goes to another bank, and I know it might not be as simple as that, but apparently, pretty much this is how it works. She just went to the bank, said, listen, I'm trying to get a loan for $22 million. They're asking me for a $100,000 deposit. If you give me this money, as soon as I get the loan, I'll come back to you, I'll give you money plus interest. And apparently, just like that, she got the $100,000. Now, think about $100,000. Man, you give me $100,000 right now. Trust me, as fucked up as I am, like, if you give me $100,000 right now, and I'm gonna, okay, fuck 100,000, 50,000. Now, I know 50,000 is really not a big thing, realistically speaking, in America, but if you give me that money, trust me, man, I'm gonna do something with it. Like, as fucked up as I am, and like it's like I'm doomed to suffer regardless. Because schizophrenia, man, it's terrifying. You don't know, man. It's just a satanic disease where your mind literally finds things to try to make you suffer. This is how it works. It's just all things that just doesn't make sense to the very you. Like, prior to that situation, things that didn't make sense. I'm not talking about other people who were healthy mentally or physically. Things that didn't make sense to the very you all of a sudden start making sense as being a trouble and being rather scary to you. And it feels very realistic. Very realistic. Totally makes sense logically, and you suffer. But then again, I'll tell you, man, if you give me that money, one thing I was trying to do, I was trying to find some woman who I can bring it to America and we can marry each other. Trust me, man, a girl who once has a dream to have a better life, just like everybody is, just like me, and I'm kind of financing her to come over here. I think she could afford some decency to try to be nice to me. So, you know what, Arash, I'm gonna stay with you. I'm gonna be your wife. You know, I'm gonna, you know, emotionally, financially, I'm gonna be on your side. You know how much of an impact that could have on my life? That would give me a motivation myself to try to find some venues to have a life myself, to some stream of income. If nothing else, at least having her to my side was a bit of a utility and happiness for me, and I could come home with all kinds of shitty thoughts in the world and be like, you know what? All these pieces of world that are hurting me, there's one piece of the world that is also supporting me, and that is this woman. And then again, I know reality things might not work like that. A lot of people misrepresent themselves in this world. But yeah, but then again, at least I could have tried, you know. Something, somehow, some situation, you know. They're richer people. I don't know how to say it, man. But I mean, you know, $50,000, you know, even if, let's say, you know, I wouldn't find any business, $50,000, that would pull me around for like a nice 2 years. I can tell you that for a fact. With like living, trust me, I will literally, well, not at this point where I've been going through, but if you would have given me this money, if somebody would have given me $50,000 like 5 years ago, I would literally be like, you know what? I think America is a wonderful country. You know what? And all the shit that I've been going through, I've been like, you know what? Maybe they treat me like crap. Maybe they treat me like like Nazis. They treated the disabled and shit like that. But at the end of the day, they're at least giving me some money, man. They're helping me out, you know. Maybe it doesn't. Torturing somebody and rewarding them for torture it doesn't make it right, you know. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, at the end, I would still say America's a fucking, fucking Nazi house. That's what I would say. I would not. I would still talk shit about America, but at least, I would be like, you know what? Well, at least I have enough food. You know what I mean. It would just at least not add to your agony. That's one thing at least about it. Anyways, but that's not the case, man. No, man. I mean, very honest with you, man. Really. It's funny is that supposedly the people who run in the Social Security, they should know that diseases like schizophrenia, sadly enough, unfortunately, it doesn't make me happy to say this, but it's a permanent lifetime thing. You have to live through it realistically, and they know this thing. When I first filed for disability that qualified me and they started receiving this thing, that means one thing. This guy for the rest of his life is entitled to this money. This disease is not going to go away with him. Sure, there are some people who go get treatments and partially, to a good extent, 70%, there are people like that. There are people who go through schizophrenia or bipolar disorder and, they can get back to their lives and recapture the strength that they had prior to that thing and live a fulfilling life that is, they can totally get back on track. That is, they feel like themselves and they're good and everything is for the most part. But those individuals are very few, man. Those individuals are very few people. It doesn't work like that. I was taking medicine. I was taking just... You don't believe me, man. That's okay. That's fine. It's sad then again. But the point I'm trying to make that before that, saying this is that, yeah, so they know this, but they cut my money off on a premise that, they sent me some information or something and they didn't respond to them. And the way that they went around it when they cut it off and I get back to them, it wasn't that they just instantly reinstated me. That was not the case. It was this whole era, fill out form, send in, wait 6 months. I waited and still I didn't. They put me down. I came to Miami area. Back then I was in Orlando. Finally, after 8 months, they put me down to see a doctor. And when I got here, I couldn't get my butt there in 2 days. The woman, she sent me a text message saying tomorrow, 2 days from now, it was the 18th, and then she put me down on December 20th to go see a doctor. I can't get my butt from here going to Orlando in 2 days, try to fucking do this shit. Come on, are you for real, man? I can't do that. Maybe other people can't do it. And maybe that was a worthy investment for them, because that meant